the last 50 yards. This is a timely and important reminder about the often unseen, but critical, realities of merchandising your SKUs in South Africa. The blind spot in modern merchandising. Background to the last 50 yards. At the last 50 yards, we shine a light on the critical and mostly invisible realities of in-store merchandising in South Africa. While most suppliers rely on industry-standard metrics like stock on hand or rate of sale, these numbers serve retailers, not brands. They hide execution failures and create a false sense of performance. International research confirms that 72% of on-shelf availability issues happen in-store, not in the supply chain, yet these failures remain undetected because outdated metrics can't see them. We use applied statistical analysis to expose the real causes of lost sales, quantify the opportunity, and give you a 24/7 invisible eye on your shelf, unlocking 15% to 105% growth with just 8 minutes a day. Because what matters isn't what's on your report, it's what's on the shelf. Why should you take a moment to read this? Because we're going to reveal merchandising challenges you are not aware of, challenges that, in fact, you cannot be aware of if you're relying solely on industry-standard metrics. Metrics like stock on hand, rate of sale, what went in equals what came out, category performance up or down. These are useful for retailers, but for sales professionals like you, they are dangerously misleading. Let's unpack why. Metrics for retail success. Stock on hand ensures adequate inventory levels for customer demand. Inventory balance maintains equilibrium between stock inflow and outflow. Rate of sale measures sales speed to optimize inventory turnover. Category performance analyzes sales trends to improve product categories. The hidden source of on-shelf availability issues. Upstream merchandising issues you may not know about. You may think a poor strike rate into the DC is your biggest merchandising challenge. It isn't. Independent research across 29 countries and 661 stores by Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, and Walmart showed that only 28% of on-shelf availability issues originate from suppliers and DCs combined. That means 72% of issues are happening in-store, where standard metrics are blind. And the truth is, most suppliers have little understanding of the mathematical models that dictate DC replenishment. In-store issues hinder sales and disrupt supply chain efficiency. The complexity of retailer replenishment systems. What really drives replenishment? Balancing resources and policy constraints in distribution. DC storage capacity. DC space. Truck loading limits. Truck space. House brands prioritized for shelf space. Fixed facing per SKUs. Shelf space. Stock keeping limits. Stock days. It's all about profit contribution. Profit contribution. The failure of stock and sales data. But DCs can only replenish to demand if stock on hand data is accurate, but it isn't for 65% of SKUs. Products are consistently on shelf, which they're not. This mismatch is why only 1% to 31% of SKU rates of sale accurately reflect actual consumer demand. Yes, for some suppliers, just 1% of their SKUs rates of sale are a fair reflection of consumer demand. The retailer's advantage versus your risk. So how do retailers cope? 35% of all SKUs deliver 90% of gross profit. They do track these key SKUs well. 65% of all SKUs deliver 10% of gross profit. If your SKU isn't on shelf, your competitor's likely is. For retailers, industry standard metrics are good enough. But for you, they're a professional liability. What's really happening in-store? Let's move in-store. You may believe that your contracted merchandising company is replenishing your shelves. But here's the reality. Merchandisers are supervised 3 to 5 hours per 45-hour week. Merchandising companies use the same flawed metrics you do. That means they'll detect just 10.85% of errors, if they're lucky. In many cases, it's as low as 2%. You're not managing one company. You're at the mercy of hundreds of overworked, underpaid merchandisers. So, who pays the price for this impossible workload? You do. The myth of audits and shelf photos. The myth of store visits and photographs. Predictable visits. Ensures tidy shelves and consistent store presentation. Unpredictable visits. Unpredictable visits? Only your first one is truly unpredictable. Merchandisers are connected via WhatsApp. Your unexpected presence in an area will be announced to all merchandisers the moment your presence is noted. Photo credibility. Only useful if EXIF data is available. WhatsApp strips metadata. 300 stores x 8 SKUs equals 2,400 photos. One person equals 12 seconds per SKU per day. So, where does this leave you? Let's be blunt. If you rely on industry standard metrics, you are operating in the dark. Your merchandising partner does not have access to metrics that can detect merchandising failures in real time, lacks the incentive to disclose those failures on the few occasions that they do detect them, is using arithmetic, not applied statistics. The wake-up call and the solution. How is our approach different? Historical methods. Rely on stock on hand, rate of sale, and category trends. Only detect issues visible through arithmetic, not actual execution. Assume products are always on shelf, when they're often not. Blind to in-store execution failures, which make up 72% of problems. Confuse recorded sales with true demand. Depend on human audits, unpredictable store visits, and unreliable photos. Provide a false sense of control and leave suppliers in the dark. Our approach uses advanced algorithms to detect shelf-level execution failures in real time. Delivers data-driven daily alerts designed for immediate action. Provides direct monetary insights showing the real cost of poor execution. Offers 24/7 shelf monitoring without the need for photo audits or site visits. Translates complex data into practical, actionable steps. Quantifies true sales lost to shelf absence, not just what's been sold. Unlocks 15% to 105% sales growth potential with just 8 minutes of input a day. What do our desktop studies reveal? Only 1 to 31% of SKUs are properly merchandised. Between 483% to 795% of actual sales days are lost to zero on-shelf stock. Sales day utilization has decreased by 13.3%. Unit sales up 22%, but sales per SKU down 16%, a classic result of overlisting to mask poor execution. The true sales opportunity? 15% to 105% growth. Conclusion. What this means for you. Stock on hand numbers are mostly wrong, 65%. If you believe 65% stock on hand inaccuracy is an exaggeration, check your own stock on hand numbers in retail. Any sales days cover number greater than 14 days is suspect. Rate of sale is not equal to true demand. Up to 99% of your rate of sale data underestimates actual consumer demand. Merchandising gaps are costing you sales daily. Retailers can afford the substitution you can't.
Why?
Because you're invested in your brand. And these misleading metrics? They're keeping you in a state of permanent misinformation. And the harshest truth of all, your targets are not under your control. Yet you're held accountable. They aren't under the control of your exec team, your board, marketing, buyers, or store managers either. Transitioning from misinformation to real-time detection of merchandising failures and quantification of the corresponding opportunity. Misleading metrics lead to lost sales. Maintain and repair sales patterns. Enhance sales and brand control. Give us just 1 hour. Let us show you how you can have a 24/7 invisible eye on your shelf. How to unlock 15% to 105% sales growth by investing only 8 minutes per day. Let the last 50 yards lift the veil, because it's not what's happening on your dashboard that matters. It's what's happening on the shelf. Thank you for your time.